Welcome to another Apollo Papyrus podcast episode. I am Aaron Apollo Camp. For this episode, my interview guest is a ghostwriter, an editor, and the chief creative officer of Authors on Mission, which provides ghostwriting, editing, publishing, and marketing services to authors. Her name is Danielle Hutchinson, and my interview with Danielle will follow the note-taking sounds. Danielle Hutchinson, welcome to the Apollo Papyrus podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
My first two questions are about your work as the Chief Creative Officer of Authors on Mission. What services does your company, Authors on Mission, provide?
Well, we provide a bunch of services related to helping you bring your story to life. So whether you have, a successful business that you'd like to promote or would like to amplify your brand in any sort of way, or perhaps you have a wonderful story in your life and you want to preserve your legacy, whatever it might be, we help you publish your book in a way that makes it very easy for you, very time effective and cost effective. So, you come to us with an idea. We help you pair up with an angel writer. It's our fancy word for ghostwriter. And that's how you kind of get started. From there, we help you flesh out an outline, write your books. And, it also depends on where you are in the stage. Maybe you already have a book written and you're just looking for some editing services. We also offer many marketing services as well. So I like to describe it as almost a buffet table. You can pick and choose whatever it is that you might need, but at the end of the day, we are helping you. Our mission is to help you get your story told.
What responsibilities does your job as the Chief Creative Officer of Authors on Mission entail?
So I'm very fortunate because in my role, I not only get to host the creative content, like such as hosting the podcast, creating YouTube content. I also get to do the blog postings and all that. But I'm very fortunate because I also get to work directly with clients. I get to be an angel writer myself. I have some amazing clients that I'm working with right now, interviewing them every week, helping them get their stories told and writing their books. I also get to do the editing side of things. So I'm in a bunch of different areas, which is wonderful because I get to meet new people every day and do a little bit of what I love in all different areas. So it's really great.
Do you specialize in one or more genres of books as a ghostwriter and editor, or do you ghostwrite and edit many different genres of books?
So I started off by doing just some fun, cheesy romance books when I began ghostwriting and on my freelancing side. However, as I sort of grew my expertise, I started branching out into more the nonfiction world. Here at Authors on Mission, we do specialize solely in nonfiction books. So that means anything from business related to technology. AI is a huge concept right now that we talk about medicine as well, that sort of thing. So I do range in many different types of books. I mean, my freelancing side, I still do some romances, some nonfiction, some cozy mysteries, everything from anything you can imagine. Kind of dabble in whatever life throws my way.
Now, I don't know if you're able to divulge information about that because some of this might be under non-disclosure agreements.
Sure.
But if you're able to answer this question, what are some books that you've ghostwritten?
Yeah, so I do, unfortunately, a lot of it is under NDA. The good thing about hiring a ghostwriter is that even if you are working with somebody, you don't have to disclose that. Most of the time, though, it is confidential because you want it under your own name. That being said, I mean, I can tell you I've worked with a vast variety of clients from CEOs to politicians and people from all over the world too. So it's been really cool to coordinate time zones and that sort of thing. So yeah, we do have a list of our successful clients on the Authors on Mission website though, so you can peruse and see some success stories there.
When should an author consider hiring a ghostwriter for a book writing project instead of writing the book themselves?
That is a great question. It really depends on what your situation is. One example is if you find yourself coming home at the end of the day with just no time to write, you're out of energy, but you still want your story told. You still want a book with your name on it. So that's when a ghostwriter comes in handy. It saves you the time where you can focus on doing what you need to do, what you're good at, your own business, or perhaps even just recharging at the end of a busy day. The ghostwriter has it covered. Another reason is perhaps you do have an idea, you want to be very involved, but you're just not quite sure how to position your book. You're not sure how to market it correctly so that your correct audience finds it and interacts with it. So there's many different reasons why you might need a ghostwriter, but at the end of the day, it is a collaborative effort. So you might just need someone on your side, someone to run ideas by, somebody who will help you tell it in the best way possible. So many different reasons there, but at the end of the day, it's always beneficial.
As a ghostwriter, how do you balance staying true to the client's voice while making the writing engaging for readers?
Yeah, so one thing that I like to do with my clients, and of course it does depend on their schedule and the level of involvement that they'd like to have in their project, but most of the time we do set up weekly video calls. We get to know each other very well. Sometimes I even, we crack open a beer and we chat with each other a little bit. And by doing so, it allows me to get a good sense of their mannerisms, the ways that they talk, certain verbs and nouns they use more than others. And not only that, but when they're talking about their specific topic or the content of that specific chapter that we're writing that week, it helps me see what they're most passionate about, the way that they put emphasis on certain words or talk at a length about a certain story. That all helps me to get their voice right. And the benefit of technology these days is I get to record those conversations, look back at it as I'm writing later on, and that really helps me to get their voice right on the page. That being said, the balance aspect that you asked about, that's of course a matter of staying true to the outline that we create, ensuring that we are targeting the correct audience and catering to what they might be looking for in the book while still keeping that, the author's voice intact. So it is a careful balance, like you mentioned, but at the end of the day, it's about getting to know your client, reviewing the chapters with them as well, and that's how you get it all right.
What is the first step an author should take when he or she has an idea for a book that he or she wants to write?
Well, the first thing to do would be to assess what you're looking for, your capabilities. So, maybe you don't necessarily need a ghostwriter. Maybe you want to write it on your own. In that case, the first step, well, start brainstorming, start outlining, and then, of course, just get writing. You can't edit a book that's not written, right? So that would be the first step. But if you are looking for a ghostwriter, of course, then the first step would be to head to authorsonmission.com, schedule a consultation, and our team can help you figure out what the best path would be for you. So it's a matter of assessing where you are and what your needs are. I think that would be the very, very first step.
What should a realistic timeline look like for writing one's first book?
I would say the timeline really has to do with your goals and your flexibility. So I've had books written within a week before, which is very interesting. I remember this one specific client. He called me when I was at the supermarket one day and he said, "You know what? I want my book written by next Sunday." And I look at the calendar. I'm like, today's Sunday. He wanted the book written in exactly 7 days. So, with the right price point, the right flexibility, we made it happen. We were, on calls all the time that week, but it came out right. That being said, that's very unrealistic. So, most of the time, I would say you ballpark about 3 months, maybe, depending on, again, how quickly you're able to turn around different chapters with your ghostwriter, approve of them, and of course the collaboration aspect. If there's minimal revisions between you and your ghostwriter for each chapter, then of course it'll be done quicker. So it does depend on that as well. I'd say the biggest chunk of time does happen after the book is written itself because the formatting, the publishing, the marketing, all of that is on a different end. And that's more, different teammates, different moving pieces that come into play. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question in a very short form, I'd say between maybe 3 months or so for writing and then a couple more months after that for the publishing process.
What is the best advice you could offer to authors who are struggling with writer's block? And have you had suffered from writer's block yourself as a ghostwriter?
That is an excellent question. Actually, just yesterday, I found myself sitting at my computer and dozing off, just thinking, I'm done with this for today. I'd say the most important thing to do when you have writer's block is you do need to give yourself a break. That's what I ended up doing yesterday. We ended up just taking our dogs for a walk, and by the time we came back, I felt more refreshed, ready to sit down and crack back into it. But there are different methods to preventing writer's block that I found very useful. One of them is really just knowing your body's best working times. Some people are better working in the mornings, others at night. Sometimes you focus better if you have certain things in your environment. I always like to have my favorite candle lit, a little bit of soothing lo-fi music in the background, that sort of thing. So you got to balance yourself and see what is it that I need to get my best writing done. And then you plan for it in advance to ensure that, it's all ready to go before you sit down. I make my coffee first. I have some water ready as a backup when I'm done with that. That way there's minimal distractions, minimal times getting up. I say all of this comes into play. And once you're all set and you figure out what it is you need, that's when you get your best writing done.
Authors on Mission has its own podcast. Do you host or co-host the Authors on Mission podcast? And what can listeners expect from a typical episode of the Authors on Mission podcast?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I am the host of the Authors on Mission podcast. I'm fortunate enough that after successfully ghostwriting and editing for a while, I was asked to host it, and it's been wonderful because I get to meet authors every day and talk about their books and their lives, and of course, different writing tips. So, kind of building a whole bank of insights for authors here. So, if you're an aspiring author yourself, or you're considering writing a book, or maybe you're facing some challenges in your own writing process, my podcast offers lots of insights from successful authors from many different walks of life and genres. So you hop on, you listen to it, and you'll never know what you can find. I was just recently talking to somebody, and we were, discussing some writer's block techniques, just like we just mentioned. Other times we're discussing marketing techniques, other times idea generation. So just, peruse our episodes, and you'll have a wealth of knowledge.
One final question. Have you ever thought about writing a book under your own name? And if so, what are some ideas you have for a book that you might write under your own name?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I would love to have a book under my own name. It is funny though, because I have not yet done that. I think it's just a matter of time. I do, dedicate myself to my clients. That being said, if I was to sit down and write one, I would probably begin by writing a book about writing and my experiences here, ghostwriting and editing and building a business from it. I think a lot of people need to learn that well, as a little bit of backstory here, I also worked as a teacher. So there's a lot to be learned in pushing yourself to do something more. And I started off freelancing, ghostwriting, and editing, build myself up to where I am now. I think my book would be a little bit about that, about what it means to push yourself to the extra mile and push yourself to the limits to expand yourself and your business. So a little bit about that, writing and growth.
Danielle, thank you for appearing on the Apollo Papyrus podcast. You were an amazing guest.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been an honor to be on here. I hope I offered some great insights about the writing world to your audience. And everyone, if you're interested in writing a book, pop on over to authorsonmission.com. We have everything you might need.
It was fascinating to interview Danielle about her work helping authors. Also, to follow up on my status update from the previous episode, I finally got the remaining technical issues I've been having with my audio editing software fully sorted out now, so I can now say for absolute certain that I will be uploading podcast episodes at a much faster rate than I have been in the first half of season 9. This is Aaron Apollo Camp reminding y'all to find your writing and reading purpose. Bye for now. This podcast episode is intended for the private listening of our audience. Any reuse or retransmission of this podcast episode without the express written consent of the podcast host is prohibited except under fair use guidelines. Royalty-free music and sound effects obtained from https://www.zapsplat.com.